If you're an independent retailer or e-commerce brand, stop what you are doing and head to Retail Raw, that's retailroar.co.uk, and sign up right now. That's right, Retail Raw, my free online summit, is back. It's the UK's biggest and only summit for independent retail, and we have got an incredible lineup. It is happening on the 26th to the 27th of March, and it is completely free. You will not believe the speakers that we have. First and foremost, we have Mary Portas herself, Mary Queen of Shops, giving you her view on the future of independent retail. We've got 7- and 8-figure founders, fast growth, people who've built chains of retail stores, and some serious retail experts sharing what's actually working right now. 2 days of inspiration and information, no fluff, the kind of insight people normally have to pay for, but it's all free. So if you want 2026 to be your strongest year yet, register now at Retail Raw, that's retailroar.co.uk, and keep listening if you want to hear what past attendees have said about the impact it had on their businesses. A few years ago, I was at the trade fair, Spring Fair, and I was at the awards ceremony for the Good Retail Awards that I was a judge for many years. I was sitting there watching people walk up to the stage to get their prizes, and I remember seeing this woman walking past me in a dark green boiler suit. As she walked past me and I could see her back, I realised on the back of the boiler suit there was a huge sequined parrot, and I just absolutely loved it. I had to find out where she got this boiler suit from. So after the ceremony, I made a beeline straight over to her and I said, "You have to tell me where this comes from." Well, it turns out it comes from Love Your Look Clothing, and Ronke Fashola, who is the brand's founder, is joining us today on the podcast. Spoiler alert, I ended up buying one of those jumpsuits myself in black, and I have to tell you, it's absolutely magnificent. Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan. I'm Catherine Edley, and in the next few minutes, you're about to get powerful real-world retail strategies from insights shared both from my guests and myself, backed up by my 25 years in the retail industry. Keep listening to learn how to grow a thriving, profitable product business. Let's jump in with this latest episode. Ronke, I've asked her before to be on the podcast many years ago. We never got round to it. And then recently we started chatting again on Instagram after I put up a post a few weeks ago talking about Joanie Clothing and my analysis of why they'd gone into administration. And one of the things that we talked about was Joanie becoming a faceless brand and whether or not they had really built a sense of community. But what does it actually mean to build a community around your brand? Not a following, but a real, living, breathing community of people who show up for you the same way that you show up for them. And Ronke, she has spent the last couple of years finding out and figuring out how to build that community in the most hands-on way possible. And that's why I wanted to get her on to the podcast today. Not only is Love Your Look a bold, inclusive, colour-forward fashion brand that is built on the belief that getting dressed should feel joyful, but Ronke is also someone, as you'll hear, who genuinely walks the talk when it comes to knowing her customer. Ronke had spent a lot of 2024 thinking about what community actually means in practice, not just followers, but real people who share the same spirit as the brand. She knew exactly who her customer was. The question was how to bring them together. And the answer, when it came, was beautifully simple. What if she just invited them in, not as customers watching from the outside, but as part of the brand itself, front and centre, in front of a camera, feeling incredible?
I've always invited a few customers to become part of our model, sort of collection as such. But I thought actually last year I said to myself, I'm going to do it on a bigger scale. Why not just open up the invite to as many people as possible? And it's all on me. I'll pay for the hair to be done. I'll pay for their makeup to be done. And let everyone just feel really amazing about themselves. And lo and behold, we got 70 applicants. And we obviously sent an email out to say, listen, guys, this is great, but we need serious people here. Like, I'm not into the, I can't. Because yes, life is for everybody, but we need people who are going to be really serious about wanting to show up. Mm-hmm. From 70, went down to 20, which was still a phenomenal number.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then logistically, we had to split that up into 2 groups, in a morning group session and an afternoon group session. And then they all kind of met in the afternoon and we had big group shots. But to say that the day was, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it was one of the most phenomenal days for everybody on an empowerment level, just so enriching to be in that space with other people who got you. And the community just kind of started to grow more and more and more. And we met the most amazing people on the day as well. From that, our WhatsApp group started. Because I'd always in my mind, how do I create a WhatsApp group? I don't want a WhatsApp group where people just come online and be like, where's my order? Where's my order? Not like, I haven't got time for like complaints about WhatsApp. I wanted a WhatsApp group that was going to give people more, and you could share things, the good stuff about what's happening in your week. You know, you can share things about your own business, share things about other brands that you love, you know, things that you've bought secondhand and vintage. So it's like a really amazing community. And also allow me to ask them questions about what I'm not sure about. Should I be focusing on? What should I be doing next? Where we are at the moment, retailers and brands can't be thinking how they were thinking 5-6 years ago. Crazy if you're thinking that. You know, you can't be building collections as a seasonal kind of drop. It doesn't work like that anymore. You need to be thinking on a more strategic level. You need to be thinking about what your customer really needs in their life. You know, so that has helped tremendously. So that's kind of how I started the community on a more close-knit level. I think before that, it was pop-up shops. I did my pop-up shops and people would travel far and wide. And I'm not even thinking, so blessed. I'd have my pop-up shops in St Albans and people will come from Reading, from Cardiff, from Scotland, all the way to Hertfordshire for Love Your Look. And, you know, I'd cry sometimes because I'd be like, what? Like, this is insane. So that would be my normal kind of like community once a year thing. But this year we're going to do 3 pop-up shops and we're doing the photo shoot. So I'm really excited.
So with the WhatsApp group then, so it started with the 20 people who were at the photo shoot, which sounds like an amazing opportunity to really meet people in person and to have that.
2 WhatsApp groups.
2 WhatsApp groups. Okay. One's
a VIP one for those who take part in the photo shoot. So you will soon be part of it.
Excellent. I love it.
Customers, I have to admit, I've brought in a few. Those are like the people who they tend to buy everything that I make, and it's great because they've got the VIP section. And then I have my gold customers, which is just those who want to join. They're all the amazing customers who just want to join part of the conversation. So I have 2 WhatsApp groups going on, which is nice.
Yeah, and as you said, that it works as a 2-way street then, right? You're able to talk to your super fans effectively and they're able to talk to you and it builds that feeling of connection and community.
Absolutely. And I love that, super fans. I love that word.
Fashion has been woven into Ronke's life since her first Saturday job, and the decline of the brands she loved hits personally. I brought her back to the specifics of Joanie. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Joanie, because one of the reasons that kind of all the paths that led us down to this podcast, although we have chatted before, was that I'd put up a post about Joanie and kind of what had happened and what it meant for small businesses. Yeah. And then you'd shared your thoughts in terms of ways that they could have engaged their community more. So I wondered if you'd be open to sharing just a few of your thoughts about Joanie, about maybe what they could have done differently.
Yeah, do you know what? Any brand that ends their sort of company is just sad, you know? I think the UK fashion industry in itself is just a really sad story. Like, it actually kept me really emotional because I've lived for fashion since the age of 16. My first job was on Regent Street, Oasis. And that's how I got started in the fashion.
Loved Oasis. Still sad about that not being there anymore.
Yeah. And that's how I started in the fashion industry. That's actually how I got my first break in the fashion industry, because I met Kate Winslet's stylist whilst
Wow.
working in there. So I got my first break in there and did lots of stuff. Like really, really sad. But I feel like how could they perhaps engaged more? I feel like, first of all, I honestly think they did some amazing things. They did some
Mhm.
amazing prints and amazing collections. But I honestly think they perhaps doubled down too much on some of the collaborations. What would have been really interesting would have been to have seen collaborations more with their followers. If I had the capital that they had, and I'm a much smaller brand, I would have definitely have introduced more inspired collections by my customers. By that I mean, let's pull in the people who we know who follow us, who have got amazing skill sets or talents, and see how we can incorporate that into our brand and speak through them as artists and give the brand more of a face. You never
Mhm.
really, I don't even know who owned that company.
I don't think by the end it was being run by the people who'd founded it. I think that
Yeah.
was part of it as well. It looked like in about 22, 23, it wasn't exactly changed ownership, but they took on quite a lot of investment from a company that was specialized in sort of turnarounds. And the original founder stepped back. A few people have said that to me, that it was quite faceless. And I do think in recent years that there was it was very much more like, you think about something like, I don't know, Bowden or the
Yeah.
White Company, we don't really see who, there's Johnny Bowden, but he's kind of like not sort of front and center. But I feel like they almost wanted it to feel quite corporate, and it kind of backfired.
Absolutely, it did. And
Yeah.
it's funny you talk about Bowden, because one of my mentors is one of the ex high flight CEOs of Bowden. So
Amazing.
and I've seen that transition, because the old Bowden is when he used to work there.
Yeah.
And I've had that conversation, and I think, yeah, it's definitely, it's taken a turn for the better, because Johnny actually has become a bit more present.
Mm.
He
Yeah.
You see his daughters in campaigns and see his family in campaigns, which is really beautiful to see. And you get that sense of a bit more family orientation, and even some of the people who work at the brand step forward a bit more. What brands are lacking in understanding more, that we're actually quite keen to see behind it all, you know?
Yes.
And it took me a while to understand that. Took me a long time to understand that, because I feel that when I started the brand, there wasn't a lot of social media, and I had very much just a face at events. And I think people were always very surprised to see myself as the brand owner, not just as a female, but as a Black female.
Mhm.
And that's something that, I've had to sort of get into my mind. Actually, it's okay to put your face forward.
Yeah.
People really want to see who you are. And that took me a long time to kind of like get to grips about, I was a bit like, oh, are you sure is it going to put people off? Because I feel like maybe that's just, again, from a consumption perspective, when you look at big brands, you don't necessarily see anybody like myself to them. You don't see anyone sort of stepping forward. But I've really become so much more empowered by my community, who are really encouraging and saying, we love the fact that you're female, we love the fact that you're a mum, and we love the fact that you're a Black entrepreneur. Inclusivity, it's not
Mhm.
just, and that's a huge thing for me, huge, 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 huge thing for me, not just about colour, but also about size. So important. Like, I just can't understand brands who thought they would survive by stopping at a size 16. What?
Well, it brings me nicely onto my next question, though, which was about inclusivity. And you've talked about that your mission is to make fashion truly inclusive.
Yeah.
And I think you've touched on that slightly there. But yeah, just to kind of delve more into, what does inclusivity mean to you? So it's about all types of people, all
It's about
sizes.
everybody, it's about just everyone embracing fashion and just being themselves. I would never turn away anybody who wants to model for me. I've got the most fantastic amount of models lined up for our photo shoot in May that I've scouted myself. I've just literally gone up to people and been like, oh my God, you look amazing. Like, oh, like, yes, queen, we need you, we need you. So I'm very excited about that. But size-wise as well, I am more than happy to go out my way and figure out how we can make things into a different size that's more comfortable for people if we don't offer that size. We go up to a size 26. And if that size isn't right, I'll figure it out. I want to know if someone tells me it's too small, I'm like, okay, well, where is it too small? How can we figure that out? The other day I had a lovely customer and she sent me a message and she said she wanted me to use a different type of fabric or consider using a different type of fabric for our sweatshirts. It's our first time really going into sweats. They've done amazing for us. We love the colours. I noticed that there was a lack of colour, obviously. Everyone's got lovely sweatshirts on the market at the moment, but they all seem to go into a different monochromatic collection, if you know what I mean. And not so many brights. So we thought, okay, well, let's see if people might want them. This customer was so amazing. She sent me an email and she said, I really love what you do. I'd buy everything you have, but is there any way you could consider another type of fabric that is slightly more sustainable? And I was sat there, I think it was Friday night, and I saw her email and I said, I'm not going to email her back. I'm not going to do anything. I just messaged her and said, can I call you? Can I call? And she said, okay. And I called her up and I said, thank you so much for your, first of all, beautiful message, because it really was so beautiful. And I just had a 25-minute talk with her about sustainability, about using different fabrics. And she gave me a load of different types of fabrics. And yeah, from that, we're going to really kind of trial some newer fabrics as well. So it's been really things like that I feel really passionate about, not just about inclusivity, but on that side of sort of the visual front, but also inclusivity and ethics and sustainability from behind the scenes. And really kind of considering what customers are all about, what that message is.
Well, it's interesting. Actually, I was thinking about, so I have one of your jumpsuits. After I'd ordered it, I got an email saying, this is the first time you've ordered from us. Can I just check your measurements to make sure you've got the right size? And then I sent them my measurements and then they said, actually, I think we'd suggest this size instead or something like that. And I was so impressed. I feel like I told everyone about it.
Oh, bless you.
Because I don't think that happens very often. And, is that a kind of, well, I guess it helps you with reduced returns, right? But as a customer, that's a great customer experience, right?
We do that often. If it's a new customer, obviously the system flags it and it sort of says, if you bought from us before, it tells us behind the scenes if it's a new customer. And we'll definitely email customers, and we do that as well for any international orders. We'll take measurements for international orders because most of the time customers will buy about 2-3 things for international. I would just be heartbroken if it were myself. And I bought something from abroad and it wasn't the right size, and you've taken my money. Like, that's theft as far as I'm concerned. Like, seriously, that's theft. Like, measurement. Why wouldn't I just take someone's measurements and be like, okay, I think that we could just do with that size or that size. And it might just be because, we're all used to like buying specific sizes from different brands, aren't we?
Yeah.
And that might just be in your head, oh, I buy a size medium or a extra large from that brand, it'll be the same, but it might not be,
No.
that the cut's slightly different, and it might be because we use cotton most of it as well, so there might not be stretch in it, So we do that quite often. And also what we've started to do also is and we do quite a bit, we've got a tailorer not far from us, so if something needs adjusting or altering, we'll do that for customers.
Which is amazing.
I had a customer who had a pre-order. She ordered it. She gave us her measurements. It all was correct to what she had ordered. Then she tried it on and she was like, I might not have been as generous as I could have been, which we're all guilty of, aren't we? I've done it before. I'm just going to maybe not eat so many packets of crisps next week. So anyway, she sent it back and I said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put in some panels to the side, which is what they do with like couture stuff. They put panels on the side and we'll just take it out for you. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, easy. Easy. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
That same service runs in both directions. Ronke has taken in garments who've lost weight too, sometimes dozens of pieces at a time, rather than let them part with clothes they love.
I think that's how you sustain a great business, and just going that extra mile. And it's almost, this is going to sound really cheesy, don't laugh, but it's almost how I was brought up from in my Catholic schoolgirl phase of just treat others how you'd like to be treated.
Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah, that's literally
not cheesy at all.
Okay, good.
There's so much truth in what you're saying in terms of it's easy to overthink some of these things. Like what you're really talking about is being a decent human and treating people like you'd like to be treated and really caring about your customers. And I think that is going to be what sets an independent brand apart from the big retailers. And I'm not saying big retailers don't care about their customers, because lots of them do, but I think not to this level. I just think that it's not a personal relationship where they know the name of their best customer and they're in a WhatsApp group with them, So it's exactly as you said, it's leveraging that as your superpower in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm just constantly thinking about, okay, what else can we do to really just blossom the brand and move things forward? There is a Frida Kahlo exhibition that's coming up later on this year, and I shout out to people who would like to just come, because it's normally me on my own anyway. So why not just invite people? I'm normally because it's hard to get people to come to exhibitions these days. So I'm normally just trotting along on my own. So I thought, well, why don't I just ask the customers who wants to?
Yeah,
and quite a lot of them were like, oh my God, love to come. So we've got that in the diary and the photo shoot. So yeah, we're gonna see what else we can wangle and get anyone else wants to come along.
And then also that's the strength of, as you said, attracting like-minded people, right? People that love colour, that love art, that are creative, that want to express themselves through clothes. So it's that, what do they call it? Like the psychographics of your customer. You're really tapping into that and finding more people, and I'm sure all of your loyal customers are incredible brand advocates as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. 100%. Right. They are amazing. The funny thing is, people will come up to them. If you're wearing, and then this isn't me tooting my horn, but if you are wearing a Love Your Look item, you need to be prepared to have someone come up to you. You need to be prepared that someone will sort of say, we'll give you a compliment or a few compliments, or we'll give you the look of, like that look of curiosity.
Yes.
I wonder where that's from. But I'm not too brave enough to go up and ask. So I might take a picture and scan it and Google.
I've definitely been guilty of that before.
Well, yes, absolutely. I've got some great customers who fly the flag amazingly.
Everything Ronke talked about today, the photo shoots, the WhatsApp groups, the Friday night phone calls, the taking in of 18 dresses, none of it is complicated, but all of it takes intention. It takes deciding that your customer is a person worth knowing, not just a transaction worth processing. And I think that's what separates the brands that last from the ones that don't. If today's conversation has you thinking about your own business, about community, about how you're showing up, about what you could be doing differently, then I'd love to see you at Retail Raw. It's a free 2-day online summit I run every year, bringing together some of the most inspiring independent retailers and founders in the UK, as well as experts, to share what's actually working right now. No fluff, no gatekeeping, just real stories from people who are in it, just like you. This year is the 26th and 27th of March 2026, and it's completely free to attend. You can grab your spot at the link in the episode description in whatever app you're listening to this on right now. For YouTube, it's in the episode description below. I'd absolutely love to see you there. And Ronke, thank you for your time, your openness, for your fabulous sequin garments, and for being such a brilliant example of what it looks like to run a business with genuine heart. Go and find her at Love Your Look. The link is in the episode description too. And if you do go to one of her pop-ups, you have been warned, you will leave with something fabulous, and you might just fall in love with a sequin jumpsuit yourself. Thanks for watching. And I'll talk to you in the next episode, number 294, in which I'll be looking into how retail is changing and fast.